next guest fights for the King of the Cage atomweight title against Jayme Hinshaw coming up here at KOTC Perennial on July 21st. It is Nguyen joining me here on the program. B, how are you?
How are you, James? I'm doing really, really good.
Awesome. Now, where am I getting you today? Are you like in between training sessions, going to training? Where am I getting you right now?
I'm actually at work.
Oh, good stuff. What do you do for
Yeah.
work? What's paying the bills for you?
Well, I mean, I'm doing okay as a fighter, but I'm kind of a busybody, so I don't like to sit idle. So I picked up I'm a microblading artist, so we do like permanent eyebrows and things like that. So I do it part-time.
That's good. Well, you got to do that, right? Because fighting doesn't pay the bills all the time. You got to do those side hustles and stuff. So I can understand it for sure. Is it good balancing the two as far as training and everything else?
Yeah, it's good because I chose a field where I can make I chose a field where I can pick my own appointments and work my own schedule. So.
Good stuff. Well, I appreciate it. The thing I didn't even mention off the top, which is huge news, and we've seen this before with fighters crossing over to the TV world, but you're on the upcoming season of Survivor, season 37, which is super cool. How did this all come together with you getting on the show?
Actually, it just fell in my lap. I was contacted by a casting director, and they actually offered me some dating show first. I can't say what dating show, but I turned it down because it just wasn't my identity to be on a dating show. And then they said, well, have you ever considered Survivor? And I hadn't watched the show prior, so I started watching it, and I was obsessed. I was like, I have to do this. It seems like such a challenge. And yeah, so I accept. It actually came at a very a crazy time. My dad was passing away that week, and I got the call from the casting director the exact same time I got the call about my dad. So I just kind of figured, it was a sign to say yes and to take on the opportunity and the challenge.
So tell me what that's like, getting the contrasting, bits of information. Obviously, my condolences to your, family and everything with the passing of your father. But you find out this news, and then you get this huge opportunity. Like, what's going through your head as you're about to head and do this crazy reality show?
I honestly don't know because it was actually fight week that I was fighting Cassie Robb.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. I was going to ask you about that fight, too. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I got the call my dad was passing away, and then I got the call Survivor. Then it was during weight cut for the fight. And I think in my head it was just in honor of my dad. He was always a dreamer, and he would say yes to everything. He's like all over the place. So I was like, in honor of my dad, I'm just going to say yes. And I feel like it was a sign. So I just said yes to the opportunity. I flew to my dad's funeral, then flew to casting, then flew straight to my weigh-ins, and then fought.
Wow. Okay, that's crazy. Now, how tough is it right now not being able to say anything? I've talked to fighters that have been on The Ultimate Fighter, and I know they can't reveal anything. Like, has that process been difficult, just not being able to say what happened?
It's actually not hard for me. I think it's kind of like fun for me. I'm like, just watch and see. I'm like waiting. It's for us. It's a surprise too because you never know how the show is going to be edited, like what's going to make it, what's not. The show is very, very real. Like it's the realest, experience I've ever had. Everything on Survivor is real. I can tell you that much. And so I just want everything to make the show. You know what I mean? I want you guys to be able to see everything, and obviously you can't. There's limited time. So I'm excited myself to see what's going to show.
Now, how much has being a fighter helped you on the show from a mental standpoint? I know you can't reveal anything on the show, but I'm sure having that experience, being a fighter, it's tough. It's not for the average person. Do you feel like that sort of helped you heading into an experience like this?
I don't think MMA specifically, but actually, no, the weight cuts helped me because, being on the island, you don't get to eat, and I'm familiar with being with having lack of food and performing at the same time, so that helped me. But my whole life, I mean, just being able to roll with the punches and take what comes and dealing with it well has really helped me on the show.
And we've seen other fighters sort of make that transition to the TV world. The most recent one, I think that's most relevant here, is Michelle Waterson was on The Challenge, which was on MTV.
Yeah.
And she, after watching back, she said she liked how she was portrayed. Are you worried about that at all, how you're going to be portrayed? Or just like, just let them do with what they can?
To be honest, like, you can only be portrayed what you give them. Even if some shows, I don't think Survivor does this, but even if some shows try to make things a certain way, it has to be clips and footages that they use, and I was just myself, and so I'm not worried about it at all. I'm pretty transparent on my social media. I'm pretty transparent to everybody, so I'm just excited to see it.
And you referenced the fight there with Cassie Robb, and if that name sounds familiar to people, she's a training partner of UFC strawweight champion Rose Namajunas, and it was a close fight. It was a split decision. I got to know, with your performance in the fight, when it went to the judges' scorecards, were you worried at all about the decision, or were you feeling pretty confident you were going to get it?
As far as my performance, I wasn't worried at all. But as far as decision in general, I'm always worried. I've had close 2 fights before Cassie Robb, and they didn't go my way. So I'm always concerned when it goes to decision. As an amateur, I had a lot of finishes, and I really just went for it. And as a pro, I think I'm being a bit careful. So this time around for the title fight, I'm just changing it up and trying to go back to my not careless, but my just having fun with the fights, and not overthinking my record, overthinking everything. Yeah, I get nervous every time it gets to the decision. So.
Right. No, I hear you on that. Let's talk about the matchup here. You're taking on Jayme Hinshaw, of course, won the title from a Canadian girl that actually lives where I live in Toronto, Melissa Karagiannis. How do you feel like you match up against Jayme in this fight?
I feel great. We actually fought before, and I beat her actually early last year, not so long ago, and I think that Jayme's a strong opponent. She has strong ground. She hits like a truck. She's the smallest fighter I've fought, and she hits harder than any of the bigger girls. She hits really hard. But I think that I have a huge advantage. I think that I'm going to win mostly because I don't think a lot of people do well with me in a 5-round fight. I think that I have a gas tank, and I just put on the pressure, especially in the later rounds. I've had a problem with my earlier fights where I start out a little slow and I pick it up in the end, and sometimes it's just not enough, with like Lindsey Van Zandt fight. But with a 5-round fight, I think that I can keep up my pace, and I don't think that anybody can keep up with me.
And we're a bit of a ways away from this fight. It's on the 21st, like I mentioned. How are you going to structure your training camp for this fight? Is it just business as usual, training with the same training partners and same gym and everything?
Yeah, I'm doing the beginning of camp right now. I'm in Houston. With my core coaches, and then July I'm heading to Albuquerque because we're fighting in Colorado in high elevation. So I'm heading to finish. Yeah, I'm heading back to Jackson's family with Michelle to finish my camp out in July. So I'm excited for that. Actually, that's coming up sooner than later. So I'm excited to see everybody back in Albuquerque.
That's great. And when does the weight cut process start for you? Do you have to cut a lot of weight to get to atom weight?
I cut about 20 pounds to get to atom weight, but that's not in water. I cut about 8 pounds of water. So I diet pretty far out. And so the cuts aren't bad for me unless I'm really, I've only been reckless in one weight cut. And besides that, all the other, 20-something times that I fought atom weight, I've been fine. I think you just need to diet further out and need to live the lifestyle, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, and when does that process start for you? I mentioned, this fight's on the 21st. Like, does that start, in a few weeks, or is that already started? When does that process start?
It's already started. The mindset and everything doesn't really kick into gear for me until a month out, only because I don't want to peak mentally. I don't want to overexhaust myself and overthink about the fight. But as far as the diet, the cleaning up the diet and the hard training starts about 8 weeks out.
How do you see this fight playing out on July 21st?
July 21st, I see myself finishing her in the later rounds.
Great. You didn't even hesitate.
Yeah, I really think that's how it's gonna go.
That's awesome. And what's next for you after this fight? I know you're not looking past your opponent here, but do they have anyone lined up, or are you able to sort of? I know with King of the Cage, you have to sort of be exclusive to them, but are you able to take any opportunities overseas? I know they have that deal with RIZIN.
Yeah, I think that after this, after I obtain this belt, we're gonna head over to RIZIN. I've been dying to fight for them, but for some reason they just only take people that have the King of the Cage belt. So I'm excited to go over there. I want to fight, the likes of Rena and all them. So yeah, I think that's our next move.
What do you like doing on your downtime? I know obviously you got work and you're training and everything like that. Are you watching any Netflix? Are you playing any video games? What do I find you doing on the downtime?
Oh no, I'm horrible at video games. I don't know. I dance. I karaoke. I really like going out and dancing. Like even in camp, if I'm not drinking or something, I'll just go out earlier, like maybe 9 to like 11. But I'll go out dancing. I love it.
That's great. What's your go-to karaoke song?
My go-to song is No Diggity.
Nice. Good choice.
What's your go-to song?
Montel Jordan, This Is How We Do It.
Oh, that's a good one.
I
I
know.
should do that next.
Yeah, it's I don't know what it is. I just for some reason I don't know. I think it started when I was in university or something, but I love that song. So and it's got like a cool like flow and everything. So I'm all about the '90s music, as you can tell. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
and I'm
It's
sure
so
you
good.
can tell too. That was a top hit in the '90s as well. No Diggity, am I right? So
Yeah, it is. Definitely the 90s. No diggity. Yeah.
they had the Penny Hardaway dolls in the video. Remember with the little the guy talking or whatever? Do you remember the music video for it?
No, I don't.
Oh, you got to watch it. I can't believe. Yeah, it's one of the best parts of it.
I'm gonna Google it right when we get off the phone.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Well, in the meantime, everyone's got to check out this fight. It's King of the Cage Perennial on July 21st. B, it was great getting a chance to talk to you, and I'm certainly looking forward to the next season of Survivor. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Just follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's easy because it's the same handle. It's just Killer B MMA. And yeah, you can find out all about my upcoming fights. And I hope to come back and talk to you. And after the show premieres, maybe we can chat a little more about it.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do that.